What are my thoughts on the showcase? I was very impressed with the number of teenagers that were there. So about how many do you know were there?
We did the numbers a little bit last night. I think it's somewhere in like the 230s or 240s. I'm still missing because what we do is we have our pre-registration. And then what we do is every single young person that shows up, we have a check-in sheet that you said. So they have a check-in sheet and they have a participation sheet to where we do the measurements, the heights, and the weights and whatnot. And so even though we have the pre-registration of whatever that number, I think that number is like 179. We go back and count those pieces of paper to make sure that we have an accurate number of how many young people showed up because we just want to be legit. Plus on those documents is information that we share with the college coaches, their height, their weight, excuse me, their height, their weight, their school, what grade they're in, what position they play is all on there. So what we do, we take that, put it into a database, and send it off. So right now, I think I'm done with like, I don't know, I think it's like the quarterbacks, the running backs, and the receivers, O linemen, I think. And maybe the DBs, I'm not sure. But I feel like I got like 100 more cards. It's like a stack, like it's crazy. But, it's for the benefit of the young men as far as their process getting recruited.
So on those cards, and were they keeping like statistics or like times?
So yeah, so the piece of paper that they get that we print out and hand them, that's just it's name, school, class, just basic information. But on the actual participation card, it's almost like a combine card to where that's where we do height, weight, and then when they go outside, we test them in particular drills. One of the main drills we test them in is the 5-10-5 pro shuttle, and then we added the kneeling med ball throw this year because we had a lot of college coaches call like, we want to know how strong these guys are in the off season because everybody can run, but college coaches want to gauge, hey, has this guy actually been lifting in the weight room? And so that's one of the main ones you can use because it eliminates lower body. So you can't run and throw the ball. You have to actually kneel on two knees and pretty much launch it as far as you can. We had some decent numbers. I was kind of shocked because we used to use two balls. So we use a 10-pound one and a 20-pound one. So it could be challenging, but when the coaches get there, out. And the cool thing about it is, because college coaches can't get to every single school, so they eliminate and it skips out on the when we got to get to the school and watch this kid lift. Can he really lift? You can't cheat that. You can cheat the 40, you can cheat the 5-10-5 shuttle, you can cheat the L drill, stuff like that, but you can't cheat the med ball throw. There's no way to cheat it.
So here's why I love that, because in my head, I have this scenario going on in my head as to what was happening, and then there's the reality. So I really appreciate you, letting me know what the reality was. Okay. So I did see that, and I was wondering in my little head, like, what in the world is that for? So what I'm hearing you say is, since these young men come to your skills challenge, and you're able to record, you're a third party that's able to record this information, you put it in your database, and then coaches all over the world, all over the United States, are able to see the stats of somebody that they may not have even, their school may not have been on their radar.
Exactly.
So they can be like, oh, this kid from Louisville, Kentucky is able to do so what's a good score with the mid ball throw?
So the mid ball throw, a good one. It all depends on the position, but if you got like a skilled kid, a quarterback or a running back or whatnot, a good one would be probably I'd probably say 5+ yards. We don't like normally they measure it in feet, but we don't have. So what we did was we measured it in yards. So 30 feet is such and such amount of yards. So we just do it that way to like don't have to measure the tape measure every single one. It's just like, okay, it's easy. You got the goal line, got 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, wherever that ball lands, that's it. Then we let the college coaches determine how many feet, which is easy. All you do is Google 7 yards equals X amount of feet, and then you put it in there, and that's it.
So if I'm a coach and I want the quarterbacks that can throw the medicine ball 20 feet or greater, I'm able to look at your database, and I can even sort based off of 20 or greater. And I, as a coach, I can what happens next? Do the coaches reach out to these young men, or what does that look like?
It's all about it is. So what they'll do is they'll reach out to them because we collect their addresses, their social media platforms, cell phone numbers, parents' cell phone numbers, and everything, and we share that with the college coaches because the young men when they go on a college campus or they go onto a school website or whatnot, and they fill out the questionnaire for that particular college, that's the same information they're going to fill out anyway. And so we collected to pretty much eliminate the middleman to help the young man that they don't have to worry about filling out the questionnaire. It's already there for them. And a lot of coaches appreciate and like it. Even the recruiting services that were there, they appreciate and like it because they don't have to hunt for that young man. So like, okay, he lives so and so, or he's trying to get to the place or whatever the case might be. So yeah, they'll reach out to him, and right about now, they'll probably reach out to him and then invite them to a football camp or to a junior day like tomorrow. We're going to University of Cincinnati with I think 15 or 16 of the young men that participated in the camp. And so they weren't invited, but we participated for a little while. And so we just took some of the young men that participated along with some others that weren't able to participate.
Awesome. So yeah, that is what I was thinking about what's happening. I love and to me, you're leveling the playing field because if like we in Louisville, Kentucky, there's some big name schools, right? You have your Males and your St. X's and your Trees. And if somebody is able to toss at a high rate or however you want to say that, and that school, let's say at Iroquois or Shawnee, where the coaches might not visit those schools,
right?
But now they can see that young man with that good score and reach out to them, even though they might not be looking at that school.
Right. And so it's it's a huge benefit, because the main thing about our camp that we do at K-State is not everybody can go on spring break, and that's one thing that we try to emphasize with a lot of people. Like, not everybody can go on spring break. So the main thing about it is, and it's just being candid, being honest. There's a lot of violence that happens on spring break when young people are home alone or home watching TV or whatever. They wander outside, they wander around the corner, and things happen. And so what we try to do is, if we can try to eliminate that for at least 5-6 hours out of the day, at least one day of the week, maybe two, depending on how this thing progresses in the future, why not? I mean, you it's $40 or it's $30 or whatever the case might be. We might be able to try to find transportation. But the thing about it is, in the long run, in the hotbed of the day, which is the morning time until the evening, because you got to think about it, we're there from 8 to 4. You know what I mean? And we're wearing these young people out. They're running, they're jumping, they're doing anything like that. So when they get done with us on a Saturday, they go home, they go to bed. They don't go home and then run the streets. And so it's like I don't want to say it's a curve, but especially from where I'm from, it's just a way to help young people not do the things that they shouldn't be doing. And if we got to use athletics as an avenue for that, then we're going to continue to do it. And so coming to the camp has many, many benefits outside of the actual football aspect of it, because there's things that we do during the camp that have absolutely nothing to do with the football. And then, like I mentioned before, after the camp, if you sleep until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, get up, get a snack, and go back to bed. You get up the next morning, you go to church or whatever the case might be, you've eliminated the possibility of you doing something crazy and silly on that Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening. So.
Right. So, and how did you get started with this, right? Because I think I saw on the flyer where this was your 4th year. Is that correct?
So this is the 4th year at Kentucky State University. This is the 5th year in the state of Kentucky, but this is like our, I might stand corrected by my mom, but this is like our 12th, 13th year doing it in total. Because we've held football camps in our hometown, our home city of Canton, Ohio.
Not okay.
Well, welcome, Dr.
Well, we haven't, but we've been a part. Right. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hello there. Welcome. Welcome to the stage. How are you?
I have been here. I've been listening.
Yes. But this is my first opportunity to acknowledge your presence.
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Oh, okay. Can you guys
go ahead, correct me.
Hear me okay?
Yes.
Excuse me?
Yes, we can
hear you, man.
Oh, there seems to be a delay. Is there a delay?
Well, now you're sounding a little robotic-y.
Yeah. Is the weather bad at home?
Should we switch to a Zoom? No, it's a beautiful day.
Oh.
Well, you're better now.
Yeah, you're better now.
Oh, is it better?
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of people always want to know the history behind building lives through Sport Network. Ryan's getting pretty good at explaining it. But Building Lives was created about 15 years ago. Was in the Bahamas. I had a model to implement football in a country that had not played with positive youth development through sport, because that is the focus. It's not the sport. It's actually positive youth development through sport. So it's every aspect of competition. That's what Building Lives is. A lot of people kind of think it's something else because they might come to an event and you mostly see, physical activity, but that's not why it was created. I have a background in community development. That was my master's, but I just apply those same principles to people, the same research, evidence-based practices, everything. I apply that they use to build cities and infrastructures. I use that to build people. So God gave me the name Building Lives. Through sports came from positive youth development through sports. So then he confirmed it, Building Lives through sports, because it was going to be more than one sport. The network comes about because we were already global. We started outside the United States. We were traveling to other countries. They were inviting us, specifically in Black and Brown nations, for their youth. We do not do anything with adults. We only focus on high school and younger. We know they go to college. We do stay in touch. Honestly, once they reach college, we just are sometimes a resource, maybe answer a question here and there, but our primary focus is high school and younger. So knowing that sport isn't the focus, it's the vehicle to allow the person to come into our presence. So Building Lives through sport always provided technical assistance to persons who had a vision. Oftentimes, and it came about from the Bahamas. The Bahamas, I was approached, the people there had a vision, a dream of their children playing football in their country. So I went there to design and develop and implement, evaluate, assess, and train them how to operate a program. That's why I went there. I purposely went there with a 3-year commitment that I would walk away and they would continue to play football. So that has always been the foundation of Building Lives Through Sport Network that we continue today. So they were to continue. I taught them how to government structure, how to write letters, to raise money, how to gain partners, how to create community coalitions of support. What Ryan is doing with you others in Louisville is a key component of building the community coalition of support, because the day will come when we will walk away, because we're supposed to be in the business of putting ourselves out of business. We are to build you so that you continue doing what's best for your community, and then we move on to the next community. We can't stay, because if we stay, then there's so many communities that we can't help when we get that call. So whenever that call comes, then we explain this exact thing so that they understand we will be with you intensely for maybe the first year two and allow you to move on. And then hopefully by year 3, you're only calling us saying, hey, you want to come to our event. Hence, Sound Mind, Sound Body up in Detroit, Michigan. They got the message. They use Building Lives exactly like they're supposed to use them. We do not want to be there with you forever. So when our fees, when they pay us, it in the big scheme of it all, because we're helping you build a sustainable program. Building Lives is what now? 14 years old? I mean, not Building Lives. Sound Mind, Sound Body is almost the same time when Building Lives came. So they're American clients. So very intensely involved with them in the new phase, when they had the vision, when they were selecting the name, when they were trying to figure their focus, who they were going to serve, how they were going to approach it. Was it going to be community? We were there when all those decisions were being made.
And thank you so
City
much
of Detroit. You need to
go ahead.
I was just gonna say thank you so much for that background. So you all are like the charter, and you're opening up like little franchises all over the world. It sounds like what is I'm understanding. Is that correct?
No. We're not franchising anything, because every client, everybody has a vision. Everybody. Only thing in common is sport. That's it. It's not even the sport, because some have a focus in baseball. Some have a focus in basketball. No.
Okay.
So every single one of them are different.
Okay. That makes sense. So in terms of, so yes. I remember.
So we make sure they have.
You make sure that they have.
That they have a strong foundation, evidence, and sustainable. That's our job, to make sure that that can continue on. Now, what you attended, the Bluegrass Showcase, was one of those initiatives, because people came to us and said they wanted to do some things. So we originally created the Bluegrass Showcase to hand off to parties in Louisville, Kentucky. But they never stepped up to take it. So Ryan stayed with it and kept it alive, kept it going, because it has a good following. And it has, I mean, it's a great product, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. So those persons, that entity, those organizations never stepped up and said, okay, we're ready. So our project manager just informed Ryan and I that perhaps a particular event. So this is our first year, Bluegrass Showcase, becoming a signature initiative of Building Lives Through Sport Network.
So when we were at the event, I was standing beside a gentleman. I didn't inquire, but I knew I was going to bring this up today. He said something like, man, I had to get with Ryan, because you know how he's able to get this many young people on a Saturday the week before spring break was pretty impressive. So what is your secret sauce or the cheat code or whatever in order to get this many young people in a positive way?
I mean, it's truth be told, it's the coaches. You know, they're serious. Like, I communicate with the high school coaches in the city and around the Midwest. You know, we had young men coming all over from Michigan, from Ohio, Virginia, and I communicate with the coaches and say, hey, we're having this camp. It's at Kentucky State University. It's a great opportunity for you guys to get outside, get some work in, and be around people that don't know. And another thing was on the college campus. And then we provided as much I guess, much of a college experience as we could, including the campus tour, including the K-State cheerleaders, the K-State dancers, the head football coach, the head cheerleading coach, different students from K-State, and you just throw all that in the hat and you keep your fingers crossed that people see the positive in it. And when, like my mom said, the athletic aspect of it is cool. You know, it's a wonderful thing to come football camp. But the truth is, and me and the head about this, and we speak about this all the time with us. A lot of young people don't even know majority of these college campuses are this close to them.
Right.
It doesn't have to be Kentucky State. It could be Georgetown. It could be Midway. It could be Transylvania. It could be whatever college or university is in the area. But a lot of young people don't know they exist. I know I spoke with a parent, was like, so where is Frankfort, Kentucky? And they live in Lexington. I was like, well, you pretty much ride right by it when you're going to Louisville. And it's crazy because a lot of people don't know that Frankfurt is right there, that Midway is right there, because they just either they keep their head down, don't read signs, or just drive and just be oblivious to what's going on around them. And so we try to shed light on, hey, there's more than University of Kentucky. There's more than U of L. There's more than Western and Eastern. There's a lot of universities that fit the mold. And me being a graduate of K State, I just want to bring light to Kentucky State and Simmons. I mean, you have 2 4-year HBCUs in the state of Kentucky, and nobody knows about them. You know what I mean? None of the young people and that be like, man, I can't afford college. You know, I don't know how I'm gonna go to college. I come from a single parent or live with my grandma or whatever the case might be. They don't understand that you don't have to go in debt going to Georgetown, U of L, UK, whatever. You go to Simmons and get almost the same exact education that you would get at those other schools, or you go to Simmons, or you go to Kentucky State. You stay there for a year or two. You get your grades together. You get some scholarships, and then you transfer.
Right.
You know, I had a teammate of mine that actually did that. He Kentucky State University, transferred to University of Kentucky. I mean, he played all 4 years at K State, transferred to University of Kentucky, and finished his engineering degree at UK. You know what I mean? No one's going to be upset if you take that avenue at all, because at the end of the day, you're graduating from college. Like, come on. So there's no secret sauce. The main thing that I would love is more coaches to be involved. Like when you were there, you saw it. There's a lot of coaches that show up, they're standoffish. They're in the back and they're nervous to come onto the field and help out or whatever the case might be. And I'm like, put on a whistle, come out here and help out, because at the end of the day, you know, it may not be one of yours as a coaching, but it is one of yours. It is, because if we're going to sit here and preach family and preach community and so on and so forth, then why not? Like, I have nothing invested in 95% of those young men out there. I coached at Shelby County High School. We had, I don't know, 6 or 7 guys out there, but you know what I mean? It's I'm not about to go out there and just make sure our guys are better. Like, this is for everybody. And that's one of the main reasons why we don't want coaches to come out there representing their high school when they volunteer. Put this shirt on and show unity. You know what I mean? There's no name on it. Just say Bluegrass Showcase. No, just unity. And so that way, the young people, they don't sit there and say, "Oh, the coach from Station, the coach from Dawes, or the coach from Fern Creek, or the coach from Shelby County help me out." They're like, nah, hey, the coaches at Bluegrass Showcase help me out. And so I think, truthfully, just like in the cities that the cities and the states that we've been a part of, as far as in their youth development and their camps or whatever they have going on, once the community and the coaches of the coaches and community sees the value in the camp outside of football, a lot of things are going to change. A lot of things are going to change. And I think a lot of lives are going to be saved, because that's how we save lives in Canton. And that's how they save lives in Detroit, Michigan. That's how they save lives in Indiana and Gary, Indiana, stuff like that, because the coaches in there, they have the most influence. They do stuff. It doesn't even matter if it's a pie eating contest or we going outside and walking up, picking up trash. It doesn't matter. The young men and young ladies of this country walk to the beat of an adult. 9 times out of 10, they're going to walk to the beat of an adult, you know what I'm saying, that's in athletics, because they're always the cool people. They always got the swag. You know what I mean? That's why if you go to a basketball game and the football coach walks in, or the baseball coach walks in, everybody goes crazy, because he's always a cool guy. And so same thing at the football game, see the girls basketball coach walk in and she got on New Jays or whatever. She looking nice, whatever the case might be. Young ladies and sometimes even young men flock to her and say, "What's up, coach?" We don't understand how much power we have if we just use it outside of athletics.
I love that. I love that. So how do you, so like you said, there were some coaches there and you feel like the secret sauce is the coaches. That's kind of what you said. So how do we get coaches who are not currently on board? How do we get them to see the value in this program?
I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that question. I mean, I don't, I've been wondering that since I moved here. You and I have had a conversation, off the record about certain things. And whenever that answer is found and given, or whatever the case might be, you will see a big difference when it comes down to, um, I don't know what college I'm going to. I don't know what I want to do in my life. You will see young people having more than one option. And we don't even preach going to college. We just preach graduating high school and whatever after that, so be it. Football and athletics, like my mom said, like we always say, it's just a vehicle.
Right.
If you want to go to trade school, go to trade school. Nobody's going to stop you. You want to go to community college? It doesn't matter. I told young people a couple of times, if you don't want to go to a 4-year school and you don't want to be a mechanic, go to a 4-year school and get your associates. You don't have to go to a community college. Things have changed drastically nowadays that nobody really understands. You can actually go to a 4-year school, depending on which one it is, and get an associate's and a trade. Some universities you can go get you can get a 4-year degree and a trade. So they've almost leveled the playing field for young people throughout the country to where, okay, we know college isn't affordable for everybody. Let's make it affordable. There's not that many internships anymore because of whatever reason. There's not that many businesses offering whatever to help people out. So let's do this. Let's just eliminate that, put these young people on these campuses, allow them to take night classes, allow them to do whatever the case might be, hands-on workforce stuff, and then get a trade, and they're still representing our university. And that's the thing that most people don't know, especially and selfishly, I speak about Kentucky highly because Kentucky has a cheat code that most states don't have, which is the keys money. These young people, no one said you had to use your keys money for 4-year college. That's not what it says.
That's what the keys money is for those in the background that don't know what keys money is.
So the keys money in Kentucky is the money you get for your grades. So the better your grades, the more money you get as far as a scholarship. Point blank, period. No matter if you get a 4.0, you get X amount of thousands of dollars. You get a 3.2, you get X amount of thousands of dollars. And it goes to quote unquote in-state schools. Well, if you do your research on in-state schools in Kentucky, some of those schools are outside the state. Namely, I know for a fact Tennessee State in Nashville, Tennessee is an in-state school. Wilmington College in Ohio is an in-state school. University of Indianapolis in Indiana is an in-state school. There's a couple in Missouri, and I think it's like 1 or 2 in West Virginia that give in-state tuition. It's not just for in-state schools. It's for in-state schools that follow those guidelines, whatever it is. And I think that we hurt young people when we tell them you have to go to college inside Kentucky. I literally got off the phone with a high school coach yesterday, matter of fact. And he was like, "Coach, I can't believe that such and such college is that close." I'm like, "Yeah, I've been telling y'all that for 4 or 5 years." You know what I'm saying? Like you can put Kentucky on the map and circle it as far as all the neighboring states. And then you can draw a map from Louisville to West Kentucky, Louisville to East Kentucky, Louisville to whatever other university, and then draw the same exact line to schools outside the state and see that some of these schools outside the state are actually closer than Western Kentucky, than Murray State, than Lindsey Wilson, then so on and so forth. Not saying that the young people shouldn't go to those schools, but we need to let these young people know all their options. Because if you're going to drive 3.5, 4 hours to Lindsey Wilson or Western Kentucky, there's nothing wrong with driving an hour and 15 minutes, especially from Louisville, hour and 15 minutes to University of Indianapolis. There's nothing wrong with that. Football is football. If you want to play Division I football at Western Kentucky, you're going to drive 3.5, so X amount of hours. Okay, cool. Go to Tennessee. Go to Vanderbilt. Go to Tennessee State. Go to West Virginia. Go to Marshall. Shorter distance, same football. And it's still D1 and all that jazz. So we have to collectively as adults in education, in athletics, have to do a better job of broadening these young people's horizons, because selfishly in Ohio, we don't have it that good. We don't. I can't drive from Canton, Ohio to a Power 5 school in an hour. It's a road trip almost overnight. If I want to drive outside the state and see a Power 5 school, I got to ask mom for an allowance right now, because if we don't, and we staying overnight, we might have to rent a car because we can't, you're not doing that. The closest Power 5 schools are University of Cincinnati and Ohio State in the state of Ohio. Well, they're both 3.5 hours from Canton, Ohio. You know what I'm saying? Outside the state here, if we're doing Louisville, the closest Power 5 school might be, I don't know, might be Tennessee outside the state, or it might be Missouri, or it might be West Virginia, one of those, but it's 2 hours. You get up in the morning, drive to that school, come back. Matter of fact, I'm lying because we're doing it tomorrow. The closest one is University of Cincinnati. I just lied to myself, but we're doing it tomorrow. The closest one is University of Cincinnati. We're going to drive to University of Cincinnati tomorrow and be back here before dinner. You know what I mean?
So what would you like to see? Give me the top 3 to 5 things you would like to see if you could, wave a magic wand over our states. What would you like to see?
Okay, Ryan, before you answer that, number one, okay, so Ohio State's only an hour, 45 minutes, so we can get there. But a top thing we would like to see is for us to have, for building to have a client in the state of Kentucky.
To have a client in the state of Kentucky. We do not have a client there. We do not in Louisville, Frankfort, Lexington, nowhere. So everything that we're doing there are just snippets of what can happen. If we had a full client there to affect the changes that you are in your mind saying that can happen, we would be able to grow and develop so much faster. But we do not have a client. Building Lives does not have a client structure in the state of Kentucky. Not one. We could use more than one, but we do not have one. So what does that mean, have a client in Kentucky?
We have no organization, individual, entity, school district that directly with Building Lives through Sport Network to affect the changes that you and others saying are needed, that you desire for your young people.
Okay. So you're looking for, and I almost used the wrong word. I almost said partnership. That's not what you want. You want somebody who you can train, who will take over this work, so to speak.
Not necessarily train, and we're not looking. That's very clear, because a lot of people always wonder why we don't have a website, why we don't advertise. And the truth be told, when it's time, that person does come forth. That organization, that school district does come forward and say, you know what? We want to make these changes happen. Will you help us? That's what happened with Warrensville City High School. Warrensville Heights School District, the superintendent, and they're outside Cleveland, Ohio, simply said, these changes, can you help? And now we've been there now for, I think, finishing up our second, or we're no longer being paid by the school district, but those programs are growing. When they get ready to expand out of the high school to the middle school, they will contact us again, of course, to help them with that. But they only had to pay us 1 year. And then now that program is growing and developing, and they're student athletes, and they do all student athletes in their school district, every sport. So that's what they wanted us to build and develop for them.
So you come in for a fee and you build and develop organizations, communities, whatever you want to call it, to your framework that you've established all over in Bahamas and other places.
I don't think so. It's not our framework. It's not our framework.
We established an evidence-based research model. It's not ours.
It's not ours.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily have
It's not ours. We just know.
vision, you know.
No. A
So we
turnkey. We don't have a turnkey program. We do not.
Okay.
No.
So
we
I have a vision for
build
my
and
community.
develop based on the research.
Say that again.
Yes. We build it based upon, because we've been doing it. I've been doing it for over 30 years. So there's research, evidence-based, proven practices that meet benchmarks. So once you explain your vision of what you want to accomplish, we do the research, and we find out what's the best way for you to accomplish that.
Oh, okay. So, okay, let's think about Louisville. Let's just get, real specific here. Okay, we got gun violence issues. We got all these issues. So if I were to come to you and say, okay, I need help solving the gun violence problems, teenagers don't have enough to do, yada, yada, yada. And so then you go ahead. I see you shaking your head.
It's the same thing in our city that we did.
I don't know if we're going to solve it. I don't know if it'll go totally away, but I will tell you this. In the 23 years that I have worked in this positive youth development through sport, I've only buried 2 athletes. Now, prior to then, I got tired of going to funerals. I buried one in the Bahamas and one in Cleveland. That's it. Because we went to work. One of the people who everyone knows is Ted Ginn Sr. He had a vision that was in a box, and it was a whole bunch of papers. And when he brought me in, he said, this is what I want to happen. I want one day to have my own school. I want to house these young men. He took me to some homes that he bought. We started having meetings there. I want to develop a core of coaches that understand the vision. And so we did coaches training that with proven methodology that would improve his coaching staff. He does football, he does track. So now you're involving a lot more students, you're involving a lot more people under this similar methodology, this ideology of this vision. And you're growing. And now he has Ginn Academy that's structured and is existing under his vision. It operates under his vision under Cleveland Municipal School District in Cleveland, Ohio. And that all started from a box and him saying, I have a vision. It's part of it's in this box. But I just want you to understand, this is what I want. And I started working with him in 2001.
Okay. Awesome.
So that would be the number one thing we have. Number one, to have that person, to have that Ted Ginn, to have that Curtis Blackwell, to have that Jarvis Gibson, to have that Stanford Duhaney, the list goes on and on and on. To have that person, if one, we could affect the changes and make happen what you want to happen. We could show them how to grow it to be community-wide, city-wide, statewide. We will show them. Will it happen overnight? No, but it will happen. But it has to be the person who has the vision, the dream, and they know exactly this is what it burdens in them to affect that change. We can do that.
Awesome. Well, good to know. So well, I'm definitely not going to belabor the point. I think that you all are obviously doing a phenomenal work, and we just pray that the one person would, rise up in Louisville so that we can, have the change that, quote unquote, we desire to see. And we'll see what happens. Any closing remarks?